Well, welcome back, folks, to the Ferrari HP Esports Series. The third and final stop on Assetto Corsa brings us back to Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, the United States. And we are set to go racing this time in the Americas region. We've signed off Europe. We have completed Asian Pacific region. This time around, we head stateside in a bid to yet again crown another driver to join already two that have already prior qualified for the grand final at Ferrari World Yas Island Abu Dhabi. Who's going to join Sven Gilhode? Who is going to join, of course, the man who went back-to-back, much like Gilhode, Andika Ramanalana? All questions to be answered through the process of this show. George Morgan here, your commentator, back behind the microphone once again. Joining me, also Lewis McGlade. Can't wait for this, Lewis. We had some topsy-turvy moments earlier on today during the APAC region. And Andika Ramanalana, there were some question marks as to whether he was going to retain that qualification through to the grand final after a few suspect moments through qualifying and the race. But he just about got there.
Yeah, indeed. He certainly felt the pressure, didn't he, all the way through the races, especially in that second race. Was really under pressure in that one, but the real pressure he put on his own shoulders, courtesy of an issue in qualifying. Thankfully, he got away with just a warning, so he is the driver to progress, meaning we have 8 of our 14 set, and we're preparing ourselves to get a 9th onto the table. Very excited to see who it's going to be. There's a couple of big names out there.
There are some big names, and we've not just got sim racers, but also drivers that have tested their mettle in real life of motorsport as well in many ways, and we can obviously divulge through those as we make our way through the night. But ultimately, several different nations being represented here as well, Lewis. We've got quite a diversified group in the Americas continent. You know, mainstay really is Brazil, arguably, I would say, if you look at the majority of the flags that we're currently seeing. Obviously, the Brazilian flags, the United States, Colombia. We've also got Mexico, Argentina. Obviously, a grand collective of drivers, much like we've seen that have attributed themselves through the other regions that we have witnessed already through Europe and Asia Pacific on Assetto Corsa. But it should be a really hot contest tonight.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you actually kind of look at it and think, right, well, I wonder if this is a platform thing. Because there's certain platforms that obviously do well in certain regions compared to others. Of course, for example, South America, you see AC clearly doing quite well there. Other sims like Automobilista, which has, of course, their national stock cars, as well as some various other things that race in South America that are on there. So it's good to see a lot of that contingent here, clearly making themselves well known in the AC world. But like I say, a good few names out and about from North America as well. A couple of drivers as well. One that we were looking at before we came into, Lucas Vela, of course, someone who's done very well in this competition before.
Yeah, he qualified last year, in fact, and joining his brother Leandro Vela, who also competed last season. We'll have more on those later on. Let's have a look at the whole process of the Ferrari HP Esports Series. This is the regions breakdown. This is where we race ultimately, you know, obviously spreading ourselves in amongst the globe with regions stepping in from Europe, also Asian Pacific region, including China, and then Americas as well. EMEA, of course, part of Europe. Those are the 3 regions where we witness drivers taking part in this series, and we've dished it out into 3 parts for you as well. It all kicked off back at the hot lap phase through June and July. We then stepped into the regional qualifiers through September and October to then provide us with the grids that are taking part in the regional finals at the moment, all in a bid then to confirm our 14 drivers heading to the grand finals on the 3rd of December. A truly mouth-watering prospect, and of course that will be where the crescendo comes in. Everything gets decided on the 3rd of December. The regional finals phase, it's set about on 3 individual platforms. We've concluded iRacing. This is the final broadcast that we're going to be bringing you on Assetto Corsa. Of course, the process, qualifying for 10 minutes. We then have 2 races, with the first race being set by the grid from qualifying, and then race 2 is set by the results of race 1. Only 1 driver will proceed through to the grand final from the Assetto Corsa races. Slightly different on Assetto Corsa compared to Zioni. 2 drivers will go through from EMEA, and then it'll be 1 from Americas, 1 from Asia Pacific, and then of course we've already signed off with 2 going through on the iRacing platform from each region. So altogether it will be 14 drivers heading through to Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, for the 3rd of December's grand final. So, as you can see, little reminder as to how the format works, and this is the calendar as to how we proceeded through the course of this campaign. We kicked things off, obviously, with iRacing. That went on between the 10th and the 11th of October. We then moved through towards Assetto Corsa. We've now arrived on the 25th. We've concluded APAC already today We had European racing yesterday, of course, moving through into Watkins Glen. We now have Assetto Corsa Competizione kicking off on the 7th of November and then through to the 8th of November, where we'll bring an end to the regional finals phase. And it'll be all roads then to Ferrari World Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. A lot of excitement, obviously. To up the excitement, we're going to bring in a face that many of you would recognize from earlier today's broadcast as well. Also a professional representing the Ferrari team. It's Isaac Gillison. Isaac, welcome back. A fresh show here this evening. Obviously, we just witnessed the Asia Pacific region earlier today. It's now the Americas region. Some hot drivers, I think, based on what we've seen before in terms of their performance and ability. It's going to be a tight one tonight.
Exactly, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me again, guys. Looking forward to the final 2 races on Assetto Corsa. Again, on Laguna Seca, a very qualifying heavy circuit. But as we saw in the other 2 regions, it doesn't mean everything. Overtaking is still a possibility, putting pressure on each other is a possibility, and what we saw as well in the last 2 regions is that mistakes can happen on this track. So let's see what we're going to get tonight.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be chaotic. I think around Laguna Seca we saw quite a lot of that earlier on today, and obviously some controversial hold-ups as well, Lewis, in qualifying as well. Of course, we had a bit of a few fisticuffs between Russell Reyes and Enrico Milano through qualifying. Could we see something similar again today?
I mean, look, it's always a risk in that qualifying session where things are so tight. Around this circuit, again, as we've mentioned before quite a few times, it is a tight circuit. It's a small circuit, and let's say it only takes just over a minute 20 to complete a lap, and with 20 odd cars around there, it is likely that one of your qualifying laps will have some form of traffic. The difference in the previous one was that there was an incident between Enrico Milano and Russell Reyes, 2 of the top drivers from that region, and it was an awkward one. Reyes was on a flying lap, and Enrico Milano was building up to a lap. They came across each other in the final sector, and it was a little bit messy, and Enrico Milano went on to grab pole position and take both the victories as well. Say, little bit of frustrations flared. Whether we'll see the same thing in this, I'm not so sure. I'm sure it would have been highlighted in the driver's briefing coming into it that let's not play those games.
I would imagine it's been highlighted and underscored as well based on what we saw from earlier on today. But Isaac, I wanted to ask you, for the viewers at home that might be new to this broadcast, obviously we're likely to have many from the Americas region that are just tuning in now, maybe supporting a particular driver that they're friends with, or they might be family or whatever. You've qualified through this series as well at the same time, and actually managed to win this entire championship. I mean, what does the Ferrari HP Esports Series bring to a driver, for instance, such as yourself, like when you won the championship a few years ago?
Well, it's pretty simple. It brings a life-changing opportunity. It's simple in that aspect, but it's maybe a bit more complicated in really realizing what journey you're on when you are doing the Ferrari Esports Series, and if you get the chance to win it. I've been lucky enough to win it in 2023, so I've been with the team for 2 years. It's been so good to be part of the family that is Ferrari, to feel right at home, to go to different events, to represent the Scuderia, of course, in different competitions. It truly is a life-changing experience. So they are not just driving for just a prize. It is something of a career that you're driving for.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it is a life-changing experience when you go through that process, becoming essentially that professional that represents the brand of Ferrari. And bear in mind, some of the names we've got here taking part here today are no slouches where it comes to sim racing or where it comes to real-life racing either. I mean, we were having a little chat before the start of the show as well, Lewis, about Wyatt Gooden, because, of course, the 37-year-old from the States competed in the 2013 USF 2000 National Championship. He was also the first driver from the USA to earn a manufacturer's drive based on his performance on iRacing, which I think is quite astonishing. So he comes in with a huge plethora of experience. Oh,
yeah, I remember, being brand new to the world of sim racing, 2013, taking part in a couple of championships, commentating on another couple of championships, and out of nowhere came Wyatt Gooden, and he just started dominating, winning a couple of races, picking up a few podiums. He really was fast, and it's because he's got a lot of experience in sim racing, even by that point, and was plenty fast enough. He is on our entry list. Unfortunately, though, I don't believe he is on the circuit, which would be a big shame because he's a quality driver.
Yeah, he is an astounding talent. We do have others, of course, though, folks, that will be giving us a show out there tonight. A few of them returning as well. Lucas Verla, just wanted to touch on him, of course, was a qualifier last year with his brother Leandro. He's going to try and qualify for a back-to-back grand final this time around. Obviously, returning after qualifying that season, but also has taken part in DTM Esports at the same time. Could be an imposing character on the grid, Lewis.
Certainly so. Both he and his brother Leandro Vela, they do tend to make more of a name for themselves outside of Assetto Corsa. It's normally where you'll see them racing is out on platforms like Race Room. We do see quite a lot of them. They do race a fair amount on iRacing as well. Obviously, the pair of them quality drivers. They've proven that by both qualifying for this competition before. And for Lucas Vela, I mean, it will be a tough prospect, but he's certainly one of the drivers that I'd be looking at tonight as being the driver to progress. Because again, that reminder, just a single driver will progress this evening, as we've had from the APAC region and the EMEA as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of other names as well, Isaac, that we can have a look at. Obviously, Estefano Barrera from Colombia was third, actually, the SRO Esports America's Silver Class Championship, so not a bad record on his part in GT3 competition in the past. Also, Philippe Roberto taking part in GT World Challenge Esports in the America Sprint Championship too. Many others also filtering into that championship from the Americas region. Does that prior experience in GT3 class at the highest level assist you here in the Ferrari HP Sports Series?
I would say so. Right, it would make sense that that experience will carry over to a certain extent. The big difference here is that we are not driving on Competizione, but we're driving on the original Assetto Corsa, which is a little bit different, especially in how you have to set up the car as well, the 488 GT3 Evo. And this track, although it's in both simulators, this version of the track is a bit different. So yes, the experience in terms of pressure and perhaps racecraft as well will for sure carry over, but you still have to prove yourself on a different simulator.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've also got Michael Moaning as well, which our producer Mike actually popped in the ear, who's been absolutely rapid on ACC in recent times. He was also a 2024 SRO Intercontinental GT Challenge Silver Champion, so has done really well in the past on his account. We'll see whether he can muster up the same performance this time as we head into qualifying, and obviously 10 minutes in total. We're already down to the final 7 minutes and 47. We'll soon see the first laps being ferried in. Obviously, drivers getting prepared for these first runs, and preparation is very key here, Isaac, getting those tyres in the optimal window. Can you just tell us a little bit about the processes that are involved for a driver in preparation for a fast lap?
Yeah, exactly. So getting the tires into the window can be different compared to different simulators, cars, tire models. With this one, it's just about doing the corners. You don't have to weave left and right, because you can also over push the tires when they're not in the optimum window yet. They will all have practiced that, but just getting your, because first time they're in a qualifying session, these laps matter a lot, so the nerves must be quite high. You only get 1 or maybe 2 good laps. And you have got traffic ahead, so you want to not only get your tires in the optimum window, your mindset, let's say, in the optimum window, but also you want to have a good gap to the car ahead, so that you can push and not get held up. So there's a lot of things to manage in a lap that doesn't matter in terms of lap time.
Yeah, well, already we're seeing some tight times up at the very top, only 5,000s between Eduardo Cavalli up at the very top on a 121.968. That's not the most optimal time we have seen. Of course, we have seen 121.7s. We've got Lucas Verla, 5,000s behind Cavalli, though. That was the 5,000s we just mentioned, and it's Moaning down in third, just over half a second away from the man in second place, Lucas Verla. We have further back as well, Merrick into fourth. Lozano has gone fifth fastest, and other drivers now starting to filter out in behind. Sousa just popping into 11th fastest, but all of these laps now, the early ones at least, as Cavalli dips his toes into the gravel. I would imagine it's just about setting the benchmark here, Lewis, and just reining those deltas in as Negrini goes fifth.
Yeah, indeed. They're really aiming for maybe a 0.7. maybe a 0.6 for pole position in this session. That's kind of the rough time that a lot of these drivers will be aiming for if they are to grab pole position this evening. Michael Menning out through the final corner and up towards the line. We're about halfway through this qualifying session. Joined to see them start their time lapse, and 22.3, not a great lap time there from Menning. No, he can go faster than that. Now we'll return to pit lane and begin effectively the final run of the session. Lucas Verla a little bit away there from the apex in the penultimate corner. I think we'll be building up for a timed lap this time by.
Yeah, no question. 5,000 still off the back of Cavelli. He'll be looking to go faster this next time around. All the preparation being put into this. And with there only being 5 minutes really now, Isaac, you're talking, what, 2, maybe 3 laps if you're lucky?
Yes, if you can find a good gap as well, because everybody is going to fight for their spot on track, or their free space on track, let's say. On a short track like this, 1 minute 21, probably 2 laps. If you drive out of pits right now, it will be tight here.
Yeah, will be exceptionally tight. And in terms of areas of imbalance here, Isaac, around the Laguna Seca circuit, which areas are you looking at where you could gain or lose the most time?
I think on a track like this, it's more about not losing the lap time. It's about hitting your marks, obviously. But as soon as you can see that, like literally on the limit there with Lucas Verle, if you have one tire into the gravel, it slows you down so much, like 2-3 tenths. Your lap will be over if you slightly go over the limit. And so it's really a matter of not over pushing the lap and making sure you just hit your line. Oh, there we go, a bit of traffic I think there as well. And just getting a clean lap in.
Yeah, obviously a key is having a clean lap. Ultimately, we just saw Verla now making his way into the pits, clearly not having a good run at all, Lewis, and that will set him back. So we've only got 3 minutes and 50 to go, and he's not quite accounting for others that could yet improve, as we now see Anhani now go into 13th fastest, and also Zanella up into 8th.
Yeah, certainly so. Cavalli was improving by 1,000 per second in the opening sector. They work their way into the corkscrew. This is where the second sector split is. We'll see if Cavalli is improving at all. 13 thousandths of a second. Is there going to be any final improvement in this final sector to move that pole position benchmark that little bit further away from Verla, from Menning as well? Those drivers that will be looking to improve on their final laps of this qualifying session. Did notice that Verla went back into the pit lane. He'll be back out on an opening lap before pushing once more around the Laguna Seca circuit. Here comes Cavalli.
Yeah, Cavalli across the line, and that is a nice improvement. A 1:21.802, over a tenth quicker than he produced before. Moaning also on another lap, but losing a little bit of time coming out of that middle sector. So needs to try and dig deep for the final sector. Another car off, though, just spiralling off in front of him there in a similar livery. And therefore making his way through the final corners, might likely prep for yet another go at this. The timer still ever ticking towards 0. Marino has gone 12th fastest in his own right. We'll be awaiting others now to also come across the line, as Moaning now skirts off into the gravel. He finds an improvement, but a 1:22, and it's approximately just under 2 3/4 tenths away from the top time listed by Cavalli at the moment. Moaning now into the pits as now Jace Merrick comes across the line. Still remains 5th fastest, going for that other run, 1.1 off the top from that last time, and in fact worse off than where he was before, as now we watch Lucas Verla still operating in 2nd place. The gap, though, that was 5 thousandths after that big lap that Cavalli has put in, it's now ushered in to nearly 7 3/4 tenths.
Poor opening sector there from Lucas Verla, but it's not particularly surprising, of course. Has done an outlap. This is the first time lap of this stint. Expecting the time lap that will follow this to be plenty faster. That's where he'll be challenging for that pole position. Let's see if we'll see what he's able to do in this middle sector, just to give a little bit of a benchmark. He was obviously 0.6 down in the first sector. What's he down in the second sector? 1 second. So yeah, I think he's just building those tyres up. We're about to get that final push lap come in from Lucas Verla to try and steal away the pole position from Cavalli. Like I said, it's going to require a 0.7 if he's able to do it.
Well, we'll soon find out now. Coming through turn 11, he'll now wind the Ferrari 488 up to speed, and then down through turn 1, and then later the Andretti hairpin at turn 2. Some traffic now making its way out onto the circuit. So now he hustles through towards the second corner apex. Of course, the one clear corner, or the first clear corner you can see in that opening sector as you come out of the hairpin bend now through turns 3 and then later turns 4 as we ride on board here with Verla, chasing down an improvement to try and unseat Cavalli from the provisional pole position place. Ultimately, pole means everything here in these races. Such a short format, Lewis, and if you can get pole, it can punish others.
Certainly can, and it's what's required for a good evening here in this championship to potentially progress their way through into the grand final. Got to say, Lucas Verla looked a bit weak there through T5, a little bit wide there through T6 as well, and I get the feeling by the time he crosses the second sector split, things might not be looking so great on this lap time. Could be wrong, but I'm not sure I am.
No, I don't think you're wrong at all, Lewis. He's over a tenth, nearly a tenth and a half off where he needs to be, but he's going to commit now in this final sector and has to at this rate. Obviously, he wasn't too far away coming out of the first sector, but it just seems to have fallen away from him at the key moments and the moments of note. And in fact, he's going to bring the car to a thundering stop, and that will be it for Lucas Verla. Is anyone else improving? Moaning at nearly 4/10 off the top. Negrini currently operating in third fastest. Merrick still remains fifth as well. More and more cars, they're making their way into the pits. The timer is ticked to 0. Here comes Jace Merrick now, just chasing any improvement possible as he now crosses the line. And that is going to be a time that's off the pace by nearly a whole second. So Merrick will not be finishing any higher than he originally placed down. Obviously now our pole sitter for this one, Edoardo Cavalli, getting off to a perfect start here, Lewis, and he'll be on pole ahead of race 1.
Indeed, and did a great job there in the qualifying session, set the 0.8, but it was more. No one else could really piece together the lap time there. Of course, qualifying is one thing, the race is another. The 0.8 wasn't necessarily needed, but it did throw down the gauntlet to the rest of the field, saying, look, if you're going to beat me this evening, that's exactly what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to repeat those again and again and again throughout the race to try and challenge for that victory. Again, it's 25 points for victory in both of the races, so we'll have to wait and see if someone can maybe find their way through.
Yeah, obviously, just wanted to speak to you as well, Isaac. Obviously, that provisional pole time was by and large pretty much entered to the top fold fairly early on. I mean, heading into the midway points of qualifying anyway. It was a fantastic lap from Edoardo Cavalli, but he never really lost a step, did he? He remained on provisional pole throughout near enough the entirety of qualifying. Would you say that suggests more that perhaps other drivers are struggling to cope under pressure?
Well, looking at his, like he had the P1 lap as well in the qualifying stage in a hot lap round 1. So far he's on a perfect streak. So I think it tells a lot about how he is driving, what form he is on, but also like the circuit. It's very difficult to put a perfect lap together. As I said before, on the outside you've got the sand that really slows you down by a couple of tenths, and on the inside at the apex you've got those yellow sleeping policeman curbs. If you hit those, especially with the lower ride height setups on these cars, they will bounce out right and you will lose the lap. So it's incredibly difficult to get it together there.
Yeah, it definitely can. Obviously, various corners have been the Achilles heel, I think, for some drivers. We've spoken about turn 6 as well, haven't we, Lewis? I think you've definitely mentioned through the course of our time racing here at Laguna Seca that turn 6 has been earmarked as one of the main danger points where various drivers have got it wrong, not necessarily the corkscrew.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those ones I actually... The braking's over the corkscrew is pretty difficult because it kind of comes up and over a crest. You can kind of lock up a front, I guess ABS on, not necessarily, but you can push it out wide, you can brake a little bit too late and you can miss the apex there. But you can cut quite a lot of the inside here on AC on the second part. It actually makes it not quite as daunting to take on. But this corner here at turn 6, the one just before it at turn 5, those two don't necessarily have the largest margin of error, especially turn 6. I will say, though, one thing, as much as you could look at that and across our 3 regions here on Assetto Corsa here at Laguna Seca, it was the widest margin in qualifying, really across the sort of the top group. So maybe you'd sit there and think, well, maybe this race isn't going to be quite as exciting. I do reckon that those top 4 are pretty equally paced, and I get the feeling that we're going to get quite a race on.
Yeah, I think we could have a bit of a crescendo late on. Is it possible, Isaac, to factor in that perhaps Lucas Verla performs better in race trim?
Yeah, for sure. Because now we're going into the race and these tires can overheat as well as the race goes on. So now it's more about who can build up the tire into the right temperature and pressure window and keep it there. Because if one driver puts the pressure onto the other and you start to overheat, especially the rear tires a little bit too much, then you will lose a lot of race pace, and then you're vulnerable for overtakes here.
Yeah, I mean, Edoardo Cavalli certainly proved that he does have the pace based on what we saw through the qualifying stage in getting to this point. Elsewhere, Lucas Wöhler, a returning driver in this series, obviously has already formally taken part at the highest level in this series, so obviously credit to him for that. He now looks to make a return in a positive manner as well this time. We're about to go racing though for the first time here at Laguna Seca in Monterey, California, as now we await the lights to all go red. At the very front in yellow, it's our pulse, it's Edoardo Cavalli who puts pedal to the metal, and it's go, 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 but not such a great start from Cavalli, and neither for the blue car in behind him. This throws a huge chance now to Lucas Wöhler around the outside as they come down in towards turn 2, and the Andretti hairpin late on the brakes from Wöhler, who automatically looks to pressurise, but the inside line favouring Cavalli, who placed his car in all the right places, may have been earlier on the brakes than Wöhler, but it proved to be the better manoeuvre. He holds on now to the lead of the race, just about, with Wöhler hot on his heels, moaning in third, Lozano hopping up into fourth ahead of Gonzalez, Lewis.
And the Edoardo Cavalli fans go absolutely wild in chat. Obviously, not the greatest start there, going down into the braking zone, but managed to hook things up into the Andretti hairpin. Meanwhile, Wöhler going out wide, of course, 0.6 of a second now separate the two of them, but I don't think that's going to last too much longer. I think Wöhler will be able to close his way back in. Menning also up into third position. We're back down to Jace Merrick, who did feel a bit of pressure, but I think there was a little bit of running out wide there as they were going their way through turn 6, giving Spreaker the position. There's also a crash in the background for Sousa. Yeah,
Sousa getting it all wrong and now being really bitten up here by cars in behind. There he is now, Zamorano. Sousa just rejoining the action. He's lost out to Daniel Galvo, though, this time. So will be sat down in 18th place, all over the heels of Galvo right now. We also saw Spurker move up into 9th as well earlier on. Marino has got past Barrios, and other cars also flittering in and out from different places. They look to tussle with their competitors all around them, but we're back with Lucas Wöhler, who's now already near enough lost 8.5 tenths now, Wöhler, on Cavalli, who's starting to career away. That one-lap pace on show again, Lewis.
Certainly so, and Lozano's not quite got the pace and the measure of those top groups. You can see 1 second is actually the gap between first to third, third to fourth, fourth to fifth as well. We're seeing some bigger gaps appearing here at the moment, but that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. You can use that space and air, the clean air, to get your tyres into a more comfortably operating window. Got a battle here though for 12th position as Barbato is able to hang on to that 12th position. You've got Johnny Ackerman as well gaining a position on Marcos there for 14th.
Yeah, Matthias Caetano losing out to Barbato on that occasion. Ackerman just trying to stay ahead of Marcos, and now actually looking to try and pounce on Caetano as well. In comes Ackerman. It's side by side now as they come through towards the corkscrew. Went earlier on the brakes there, Ackerman, allowing Caetano to go through. Ackerman very nearly served up. A punt into the side by Marcos as they head downhill. Did well to hold on to the car, at least. I think it was more Marcos putting the anchors on in that case, as Zanella gets past Gonzalez, and he's up into 5th. Fastest laps coming through now from Cavalli, Wöhler, Merning, and Lozano, as now Gonzalez moves into 5th place as we ride on board now, once again this time with Ackerman, as he now storms down through towards turn 1. And Marcos now really held in the rear. Caetano about to be pounced on here by Ackerman now as they go late on the brakes coming through towards turn 2. Ackerman with the better line up the inside and converts it to P13.
Gonzalez also losing a couple of positions. There is Marcos Angeli off the road. Unfortunately, there coming out of the Andretti hairpin, spinning out wide, was trying to go around the outside there as well. I think just clipped a little bit of the car and a little bit of the sand, the dust, the dirt that's on the exit of the corner as well, and went for a little bit of a spin. Did say that Victor Gonzalez has dropped a couple of positions. In fact, sees himself now 8 tenths or so off of the rear end of Zanella. Was battling with the greenie, lost a couple of positions in doing so, and now sits with Jace Merrick right on the rear end in 8th position as we go back to Santiago. Barrios trying to make a move through the corkscrew.
Yeah, there was some major commitment there coming through the gravel trap on the way down through the corkscrew, which I'm sure will leap into the favour of Marino. in that instance. Barrios, I think, committing a lot to that gravel trap a little bit, and it has meant that he's forfeited a little bit of time as we come back to Jeremias Zanella, who's trying to hover on the back of Negrini in 5th. Half a second between those two. Improved laps from Lozano and Negrini, as well as Cavalli posts yet another fastest lap. I don't think he's going to be caught here, Lewis.
No, I don't necessarily think so either. 1.4 seconds. It's kind of one of those ones where once you've built that gap, it's actually quite difficult to pull it back down in this competition. The only way that you can do it is really by through mistakes. Eduardo Cavalli not making any mistakes at the moment. Didn't make a mistake in qualifying, hasn't made a mistake in this race thus far. And there's 10 minutes to see out the first race victory and the first point of contention over the evening. But of course, we'll have to do it again. I think the real concerning point for him would have been that race start that didn't look particularly great. He was able to rescue it still down into turn 2.
Yeah, and obviously, Isaac, just to bring you in on this, if you're Lucas Verla, are you automatically saying, right, I'm going to take the points for second and maybe see if I can pounce on a better start for race 2?
Yeah, possibly, because I don't think there's much he can do at this moment except for keeping his lap clean, trying to keep the gap close enough to profit from any mistake from Cavalli, although he looked pretty faultless at this point. But his start was the positive thing from Verla. Side by side to turn 1, he slightly outbraked himself, probably a little bit too much ABS in the mid corner, which meant he was going a bit wider and traveling a longer distance, and so Cavalli was ahead of him again coming out of the corner. If he can keep it side by side coming out of officially turn 2, then the next 2 corners are right-handed, and so will be the inside for him. If he can make that happen, then he's in for a shot in taking the lead in the first lap.
Yeah, I think obviously that'll be his priority now going forward, as we know what right on board with Jace Merrick, picture in picture, as you can see on the far right, but he is now being closed up upon by Spurker, who now moves to the outside coming into the next left. But Merrick doing well to just hug that inside line as they now look to run up through towards the next left. But now you can just see Spurker just sending that warning shot through again. Merrick equal to it though as they come through turns 5 and 6, and very soon they'll meet the corkscrew once more. Spurker though committing to the inside. They are going to go wheel to wheel now, heading in towards the corkscrew section. Late on the brakes here from Spurker as they wrestle coming downhill through the corkscrew, and Spurker pounces on Merrick. Lovely move, but a little bit of argy-bargy there, Lewis.
Certainly was a little bit deep there into the corkscrew there, just battering the side of Jace Merrick's car. Santiago Barrios is now the next one on the scene. The battle for the final few points paying position, of course. Barrios at the moment scoring the single point, Merrick with 2, Spurker with 4. Victor Gonzalez, who was being closed in on by Jace Merrick, now has Spurker behind, but of course that gap's been opened out by even more than a second over what it was. So at the moment, Victor Gonzalez is doing what he needs. Jace Merrick making an absolute meal of the opening braking zone as well, going out deep whilst closing on to the rear end of Nahal Spurker, and will of course lose even more time. That to a tune of about a second in that opening turn. Now Barrios is knocking at the door every single which way, and Jace Merrick seems to be completely knocked out of his rhythm.
Yep, Santiago Barrios, the Argentine, sensing an opportunity, I think, here for a move into P9 and greater points, as now they look to charge once again through the middle sector. But Spurker now, off the back of the move that he made at the corkscrew, has now managed to develop the gap to 1.1 seconds, especially after Merrick's late braking coming through turn 2, as they now look to make their way down through towards the corkscrew again. Daniel Galvo ahead of Souza in 16th place now this time. That's a place gain for him. Verla still occupying 1.2 seconds behind Cavalli. He's starting to gain a little bit of time as now Negrini dips his toes into the gravel, but I think for Verla it might be too little, too late here, Lewis.
Yeah, I do get that vibe, unfortunately, but that's sometimes how it goes in these races. I say you just got to take whatever points you can get and accept the work that will need to be done again in the next race. But got to say, for Cavalli to Verla, the fact that the gap is as large as it is, and it's been grown to the point that it is, must be a bit concerning. There's Negrini going for the up and under there at the second corner and gets past Lozano, who I don't think was particularly fighting the hardest there into turn 3. I think saw the pace and confidence there of Renan Negrini and thought, actually, do you know what, lad, you can have it.
Probably a smart play. I think he can probably come back then and maybe attack Negrini a little bit later on. Lozano, I'm sure, isn't done yet, but 3 tenths between them for now. Negrini showing some really solid pace as it stands, and now climbing through the corners at the moment. Will very soon hurtle uphill out of turn 5 and turn 6 as we now rejoin Edoardo Cavalli at the top of the shop. Now that gap has come within a second. I might have spoken a little bit too soon. Verla turning on the style now, Lewis.
Do wonder if Cavalli might have overdone the tyres then in the opening stages. Did notice it went from 1.6 back to 1.1, and now Cavalli's starting to feel the pressure. And the problem is that gap has disappeared to the point where now Cavalli will be feeling the pressure. And it'll be even more so than it would have been in the opening stages of the race. That if the gap was this large on lap 1 and lap 2 and lap 3, you'd be sitting there thinking that's fine. That is what it is. When it's grown to 1.6 and has been closed down to this, you know the confidence is with Verla, and so. Yeah, not going to be the easiest run over the final 3 or 4 laps here of the opening race of the evening.
Yeah, in your mind, Isaac, is this an example of a driver that might have just put too much load onto his tyres?
Possibly, that's what it looks like. Although the gap has increased now back to 1.1, maybe it could have just been 1 or 2 mistakes. He lost 0.2 this last lap. If he makes 1 mistake, then the gap closes and you might start to self-doubt a little bit, leading to another mistake. It looks like he has regained his pace.
Verla!
That's Lucas Verla. He's gone. He's spun, coming through turns 5 and 6. The notorious Benz we're talking about, and very nearly rejoining as well. In front, I think that was Negrini. He very nearly cut off in front.
Certainly so, and he's pulled over to one side. He might be out of the race. I think he might be calling it there, and Verla is out.
That is a major shock. Verla, who qualified last season to the Ferrari HP Esports Series Grand Final, out of the running in the first race. And dare I say it here, Lewis, out probably of the running for qualification for the Grand Final.
Certainly so. There's no way he's going to be able to do it. He's going to be starting the next race in the rear. He'll be scoring nothing in this one. And again, even if you look at Cavalli on countback, even if none of the top 10 scored the next race and Verla was able to work his way through from the rear of the field all the way up to the race victory, he'd get the 25 points for doing so. Maybe joint on top of the points in an unlikely scenario where no one else was able to score well. It would still be Cavalli going through in that case because of countback. Obviously, the countback is your position in the previous race, the opening race tonight, in this race that we're talking about here. So for Cavalli, that's great for him. That's a huge amount of pressure lifted from his shoulders. For Michael Mennick, it's the opportunity now. Second place in this race, maybe get a good start in the next one, and maybe the opportunity of a trip over to Abu Dhabi at the end of the year is on.
It's a distinct possibility, and bear in mind, Michael Moning, a 2024 SRO Intercontinental GT Challenge Silver Champion, and could yet cause a stir as we make our way through to the next race. So let's wait and see as we now see the cars float uphill. Jace Merrick all over the back of Spurker in a bid to try and take 7th place. They've had to move past a few back markers. We've also seen as well moves elsewhere down below with João Marcus and Jelly moving past Azevedo. As Azevedo actually looks to take the place back on the run through the next segment. As now Souza, it looks like, oh my goodness, yeah, it looks like Marcus Angeli's had a moment as well. So that would explain where the places have gone. So now we rejoin Souza, chasing down Azevedo now over 14th place as they stormed down through the corkscrew once again. It looked like he was going to take an undercutting line halfway through the apex of the corner there, but backed out of it. Smart move there from Souza, who's now sat in 15th place. Barrios netting together a personal best on this lap. Ackerman doing the same in P11 behind Randy Marino, who's still occupying 10th place for now, as we rejoin Jace Merrick, who is now inside 3.5 tenths. Just floats out to 4 tenths though. He's still hunting down Spurker.
And of course the important points that go with it. 7th place pays out a couple more points than 8th. So for Jace Merrick here, there is the opportunity to maybe score those extra couple of points. He's been embroiled in a fight all race long with Spurker. We're about to head on to the final lap of the race. Negrini's had a moment, and Negrini is dropping down the order. It's been through, I think, the exit of the corkscrew. No, it was actually the exit of turn 6 then for Renault Negrini. And you can see the damage all over the car. that car looks toast, and I don't think it's going to be reaching the end of this race scoring any points, George.
Yeah, you can very clearly see the windscreen has had a huge impact, even the rear of the car as well. So not a lot left working on that 488, and that means that his day is ultimately done. He pulls off to the side, and that's our second retirement of the race there, Isaac. Truly astonishing scenes, and again, turn 5 and 6 claiming another victim.
This track bite, doesn't it? It's pretty crazy to see. It's such a tough track as well. It slows you down, but it also can be really unforgiving. I'm a bit puzzled why Werle call it a day and just park the car. I don't know if he had a technical issue, because you probably still want to continue, like even if you're outside of the top 3, just to see what can happen in race 2. But now he has to start from the back in race 2 as well. It's a little bit puzzling to me, but yeah, as you can see, as soon as you start to push a little bit more on this track and start to take liberties with the track limit, it really does bite.
Yeah, well, we are coming down to the final 10 seconds now. In fact, 7, 6, 5 left here as we now rejoin Edoardo Cavalli, who is now making his way around the track and surely destined for a first win in our final trip on Assetto Corsa here in the regional finals. This is race 1, and it's going to go Edoardo Cavalli's way. A dominant race, 6.1 seconds clear of Moning. He wins here at Laguna Seca. That is the first race of 2 going his way for now. Can he go back-to-back, like we've already seen twice over in Assetto Corsa already, through the European region and, of course, Asian Pacific? A massive result for Cavalli, with Michael Moning finishing in 2nd. Lozano comes home in 3rd, and it could yet be the start of something special for Edoardo Cavalli as Zamorano Souza rejoins the action after going wide at turns 5 and 6 again.
Yeah, I think Caetano also has had a bit of a moment as well, as Amram's also got through. Oh, Souza's gone straight on at the corkscrew. That's a bit of an odd line. Almost looked like a comedy show, though, the way he disappeared at the top of the screen. I think that car also has seen better days. So very brutal here, this opening race for our 488. So we'll see if they can tidy things up for race number 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously got to be the mission, but huge opportunities now for Michael Moning, and also at the same time, Maurizio Lozano, who managed to achieve 3rd place off the back of the chaos that really erupted late on. I mean, what did you make of it, Isaac, from your point of view? Edoardo Cavalli obviously impressing out there, but Michael Moning, a driver with obviously previous top flight experience at international level where it comes to sim racing, he is going to be a big threat, is he not, heading into race 2?
You would think so. Like, he's the underdog. Like, Cavalli now must be so comfortable. He felt the pressure from behind go away by Werle spinning, and he might have smiled to himself and just did his laps, won the race. He put it on pole. Nothing can go wrong, right? What you would think, probably. So this is Moning's chance to try and see if there's a shot for him to get the ticket to the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, obviously now Michael Moning starting on the front row ahead of our second race here, Lewis. He didn't start in the second race, start from the second row, I should say, for race 1, didn't start on the front row. Let's quickly go through the results, though. Remember, they're all provisional. Edoardo Cavalli picking up 25 points after the race win. Michael Moning 18 points after finishing in 2nd, ahead of Maurizio Lozano on 15 in 3rd. Jeremiah Sanella in 4th on 12, 2 points ahead of Victor Gonzalez in 5th. Nahil Spurka in 6th on 8. And then we have 7th place Jace Merrick ahead of Santiago Barrios in 8th place, also ahead by 2.6 and 4 they are. Randy Marino in 9th on 2, then Johnny Ackerman achieving 1 point as well at the close of race 1, finishing ahead of Santino Franco Davico in 11th place, ahead of Wyatt Gooden in 12th, Lucas Verla in 13th, Zach Doran 14th, ahead of Matthias Barbato and Estefano Pereira down in 16th as well, alike, all on 0 points at the close of race 1. But that could all change moving into race 2 that's coming up shortly. But like I was saying before, Lewis, Michael Moning has a great chance now, starting on the front row as opposed to starting rows back behind the leaders. And this could be the invitation he's looking for to potentially challenge Edoardo Cavalli.
As Isaac said, he's the underdog, and when you're the underdog, you've got nothing to lose. And look, I've commentated a fair few times on Michael Manning in the last couple of years. He's a quality driver. He's a driver that knows how to win races and how to get the job done. As are any of our top competitors on this field, fair enough, but he's now been given the opportunity by sitting in second on that starting grid, knows that the attack will come in down in the opening corner. We'll have seen that as well in the opening race there. That opening race start for Valley, not that strong for our race winner, and we'll be eyeing that up as the main opportunity, and that'll be the main place to try and get through, of course. And even looking at that, Lucas Vela was the one that went out wide there in the Andretti hairpin in race number 1, so it's trying not to repeat his mistake, basically.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the second corner apex heading into Andretti is very likely going to be the best opportunity for Michael Moning. It just seems to me, Isaac, that Edoardo Cavalli has a pace level that is far beyond, I think, we've seen from other drivers.
Exactly. Yeah, it definitely looked like that, right? Moning, one job needs to happen here into turn 2. He cannot let Cavalli get away with it, be comfortable, get his tires into the window, do his laps, because then you're never going to overtake him anymore by the look of things from race 1 and his lap time. So his job is to try and imbalance Cavalli into turn 1. Of course, we don't want to see any big contacts, but Moning's chance is that turn 2 double apex, maybe hang it around the outside and then be on the inside for the 2 next right-handers.
Yeah, I mean, we got the sense, didn't we, that Vela had a chance to get him later on in the lap until it all came to a bitter end through turns 5 and 6. But we are back at Laguna Seca for race 2 now. The cars all lined up, 6 lights lit. And they go out and it's pedal to the metal. And it's go, 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 go. And I wouldn't say it was a very inspiring start for our race 1 winner, Cavalli, because now straight away Michael Moning is going to try and hunt him down. The question is, does he go late on the brakes coming through towards turn 2? Indeed he does, and Cavalli's been taken out. My goodness, our race 1 winner has now been sent off into the gravel, a vastly different complexion to what we saw previously, and it's Moning, Gonzalez, Marino, Zanella moves into 3rd. Chaotic starts here, Lewis.
Absolutely sent there, and was left packing. Cavalli way out wide after being smacked there on the rear end. Must have come from Michael Moning, even though I thought there was a bit of a gap between the pair of them, so I'm not 100% sure as to what happened there. But either way, Cavalli has been sent off. I was going to say, who's this opened up the opportunity to? Obviously, Michael Moning at the moment is your race leader. He was second in the previous race. Now, of course, if it were to go to race control and nothing were to happen, then he would be the one progressing, but I'm not 100% sure what the deal is with that, and race control have a lot to look at there. Then you look further behind at those that were out of trouble. Well, Lozano wasn't exactly up there. Victor Gonzalez, who sits in second position, was 5th in the first race. This is wild.
Yeah, it's wide open, so we're not sure where this is going to end up. Obviously, no doubt the stewards are going to intervene. A few cars scuttling off into the gravel once again, but a scene we have not yet seen on Assetto Corsa so far through the regional finals phase here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series, but we've seen it now. Cavalli down in 12th place, looking to recover. We've got Marco Sangelli now up into 7th, ahead of Amarim here this time. Elsewhere, moves have been made elsewhere with Zanella, as well as Spurker inside that top 10. Barrios up into 4th as well, with Marino currently locked into 3rd as we now ride on board with Cavalli on the right-hand side. You can just see there, he's going side by side currently with Barbato in a battle over 11th place as it stands. Barbato trying to hold him back, but Cavalli once again showing his supreme pace. The big question is he carrying damage that could affect his performance through the course of the rest of the 13 minutes here, Isaac? I suppose that's what's going to be on his mind.
Yeah, exactly. He has to now drive for his life. You can see he's going up the inside here of Barbato, so good move, well done there. He has to drive for his life. That win in race 1 is still going to count those 25 points. So let's see how many positions he can make up in this race 2 here.
Yeah, this is going to be a prime example already. One car's gone off as well. I think that's Daniel Galvo, who has gone on the run up through turns 5 and 6. Cavalli has now made his way into the top 10 as Zanella and Barrios come together. Zanella running very wide at the apex there and has in fact lost a fleet of places. Neto is going to come up behind him. Cavalli won't be too far away either. This race is ultimately here, Lewis, been turned upside down, and surely Michael Moning can't profit off the back of this, because you'd expect him to get a penalty after what happened at turn 2.
If, as I say, if he does get a penalty for that, which you'd suspect would be the case, the person moving through is Gonzalez, who's in second position. Obviously, he'd be promoted up into the winning position. But even if things don't change, at the moment, it will be Michael Menning who will be the highest point-scoring driver with a second and a first place over the two races. So 43 points for him. Second place in the points by my maths would be Victor Gonzalez with fifth and second. So that would give him 28 points in total. Then, of course, leaving Cavalli, who is now in 10th position, who would be scoring at the moment 26 points. Cavalli, if he keeps his nose clean in this race and works his way forward, could still technically outscore Gonzalez if he's able to get to 5th place. Even if Gonzalez is promoted up to the race winner, it still would be Cavalli to move through.
And it is possible, because if you look at the deltas, they're all pretty much within a second. Cavalli passed Neto already and up into 8th place. Zanella dropping down to 10th as well. So 2 places gained. All that he needs are 3 moves now over the course of the remainder of this race. He is currently 9/10 away from Amorim in 7th. Marcos Angeli in 6th as well. Spurker currently occupying 5th. But Cavalli, definitely the one pulling out all the moves in what could be one of the most incredible and remarkable performances that we may yet see in the regional finals phase. He's got 10 minutes and 30 to do it, as now Cavalli sees Zanella and Neto in behind now battling. Zanella past Neto, but it seems that Neto has just been wrestled off the track. And by and large, elsewhere, Esvedo moving up to 10th as now faster laps are registered on our timing screen. But it's getting very messy out there, Lewis.
Cavalli can absolutely do this. We're seeing some dramas back here. Neto off the road. We've got Azevedo Costa also off the road, and then going for a spin down at turn 2. A chaotic second race. We've still got 10 minutes left to go in this race. We've only done 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Eduardo Cavalli's been sent off at T1, finds himself back on the road in 8th place, and can see a potential spot here. Obviously very provisional with everything with Menning up ahead, etc., etc., but could still potentially find a route through into the grand final in Abu Dhabi. He, at a bare minimum, for even a chance, needs to get to 5th place.
Yeah, and he's chasing down Yuri Amorim at the moment, the Brazilian coming under pressure from his fellow countryman, who's now locked, well, to his rear right now, coming down through the corkscrew. We're rolling a ball with Cavalli on the right-hand side, as you can see. And we're currently catching this in picture-in-picture. I'm sure now the move is going to be opened up very soon. Amorim looks like a sitting duck with this very fast driver in behind. Eduardo Cavalli now opening up the door, coming through into the final corner at turn 11. He wants to make absolutes here at Laguna Seca, going wide of the apex. Amorim on the escape. The momentum is going to favour Cavalli on the run down through towards turn 2 out of turn 1. And indeed, they're going to go wheel to wheel inside line here now for Cavalli. He's going to cement his place into P7, 2 away for potential qualification. Cavalli into 7th heaven on his recovery drive after spiralling off at the gravel at turn 2 at the very start of this race.
Do remember, again, as I say, it is the bare minimum that he needs is to get into that 5th position. That would only be the case if Menning does get a post-race penalty and then Gonzalez moves up into the racing. That's only if Menning's penalty is also large enough. What, it would be 36 points. I think like 4th would get him ahead of Menning if he still finished 2nd, if he had that penalty. I would have to do some maths on that, so bear with me.
Yeah, well, Cavalli now making his way up the hill through towards the corkscrew very soon. Once again, he's really been setting this track on fire and giving us a real display here at Laguna Seca. Amorim now losing yet another place as Zanella moves into 8th. Cavalli now all over the back of Marcos Angeli. And it looks like he's going to get this move pretty much one and done soon enough as well. 3/10 away from Marcos. That very quickly becomes 0 as Marcos Angeli put on the brakes there. And Cavalli moving into 6th place. Next on his list is Spurker in 5th. And if that penalty is applied here, Lewis, every chance, if Cavalli moves into 5th, he'll be making his way to Ferrari World Yas Island Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, let's just say that if the penalty for Menning's not going to be that large, let's say it's a 5-second post-race time penalty, and he were to end up finishing in 2nd position, he would score 36 points. For Cavalli to outscore him and score 37, he needs to get to 4th place, so ahead of Santiago Barrios, at which point he would be outscoring Victor Gonzalez with a 5th and a 1st place, if that were a penalty that were to be the case, and Michael Menning with 2 seconds. So as much as I've been saying 5, that was more to combat Victor Gonzalez. it depends how large the penalty there will be for Menning and how many positions he loses. Realistically, it would have to be 4th place to grab the 12 points to get to 37 points to be enough to, again, potentially qualify. So that would be the main goal. 6 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. I'm not going to lie, George, I can see him on the podium.
Yeah, I could too, because at the end of the day, Spurker and Barrios having it coming together as now Cavalli is haunting the rear on Barrios' car. Barrios losing out after the corkscrew after running wide, and now back comes Cavalli with another look up the inside as we ride on board with the man in yellow. Still turn 11 to come. He switches to the inside, firing those warning shots, now making his way through the final turn once again. Plenty of time here for Cavalli to make his way up the order. 2 seconds between Spurker and Marino. That might be a problem for Cavalli unless he unleashes that hot lap pace that brought him pole position in qualifying that time around as he goes up the inside. Now once more, Barrios put to bed. Cavalli into 5th. He's inside the top 5. What a drive this has been, Isaac Gillison.
Oh, phenomenal drive by Cavalli so far. I really hope he has an engineer or a mate in his ear as well that's doing the quick math that Lewis is doing as well, to tell him, mate, stay calm, you're still in a good position, make these moves, be clinical. And so far he only has one more move to go, as we see chaos in the background there as well.
Yeah, that's Yuri Amarim, I think, just going off wide. It's allowed Lozano and Merrick to go through. Neto also popping into 11th. Caetano gaining places at the same time. In fact, Neto now joins the top 10 as now Amarim comes under pressure from other cars now coming into this. Sabelski moving inside that P13 place, but back with Cavalli already now inside, half a second away from Spurker in 4th. It looks likely that he's going to try and harbour this 4th place and rip it from the fingertips of Spurker, who has done a great job in trying to close the gap also on Marino. Remember, that was 2 seconds not too long ago. It's now 1.2, but Cavalli already riding that rear spoiler on Spurker's car as they exit out of turn 11 and head down towards turn 2. Cavalli looking for a trademark send at turn 2 at the Andretti hairpin. Is he going to do it this time? Spurker posting a personal best, but it won't be enough to keep Cavalli at bay. Cavalli going for the big moves, chasing dreams of qualification, and now 4th place in the palm of his hand. He is literally a mere second away from Marino right now. A podium is on the cards, Lewis.
Yeah, but importantly, he is in that 4th position, that all-important 4th position where if a penalty is to fall the way of Michael Menning at the end of this race, then he will be the one in position to transfer into our grand final. He has put on an unbelievable recovery drive to get up into 4th position. I think he'll want to get through into 3rd. Obviously he will, there's a position ahead of him, but then he'll be able to check his way into the distance. But that was a big moment at turn 6. Don't throw it away now.
No, you don't want to. It would be a miserable end to what has been a sterling recovery drive from Edoardo Cavalli. 4 tenths now away from Marino. Randy Marino is going to have his wits about him here, but as we have already seen, Cavalli is not someone you can treat lightly. He is a phenomenal racer. He's delivered another clinical performance, ushering his way through the field on what looked to be doom and gloom after getting punted in the rear from Michael Moning. Well, now this time coming out of turn 11, he has got the run on Randy Marino on the run down through towards turn 2. They're going to come through the turn 1 kink first, but he may get it done before the apex. Edoardo Cavalli with a nose with his 488 in front. They're going to go wheel to wheel. Coming through turn 2 again. He's taken the longer route here. Marino with his nose in front now. He has been denied here, Cavalli, and now into the gravel, and through will go Spurker back into 4th.
He cannot risk too much here. Contact here with Marino or Spurker, and it will all be completely gone regardless. He's had an excellent drive until this point as Cavalli needs to get back through on Spurker and needs to find his way potentially ahead of Marino as well, just to make things that little bit more comfortable. Do remember again, the penalties and such, if they do come, will be post-race. We will not find out yet as to who will be going through. It would be Menning across the line provisionally to have that transfer spot, but at the moment Cavalli is doing everything in his possible power to move his way back up into contention.
Yeah, 2 seconds, in fact make that 3 lost over the last lap or so from Marino. This is how intensely he's been defending from the rampant forces in behind. You can just see the bottleneck. It's bringing in Barrios. Zanella also not too far away either as they come through the final sector. As now they fan out once more. Spurka going defensive against Cavalli now once more. Cavalli winning in our race one. A win is not going to be on the cards because it's 14.6 seconds between Marino and Gonzalez for even second place. As now Spurka looks to challenge Marino on the run down through towards turn 2. What's Cavalli going to do? Contact made between those in third and fourth. As now Cavalli looks up the inside on Spurka. Spurka now goes for third. Is he going to rip it away from Marino's grip? No, I don't think so. Or is he? They're still side by side. Into Cavalli at the inside. As now they look to go side by side again through turn 4. But Cavalli's lost out even more places, down to 7th as Barrios and Zanella go into 5th and 6th.
They've all gone off the road, though. They have all gone off the road. Santiago Barrios off the road along with Zanella, and Eduardo Cavalli has dragged his way through. Santiago Barrios remains on the rear end of Cavalli. Marino is playing a game here. He is not going particularly fast. He's slowing down this train. Look at how much they've lost to that lead group. Now comes Eduardo Cavalli up towards the corkscrew. Can he find his way through and onto the podium? Into the braking zone they go. And Eduardo Cavalli is going to sneak his way through. There's the moment for Marino in the background.
That's the moment that could push Cavalli, make it almost certain that he moves through to the grand final at Ferrari World Abu Dhabi. Randy Marino and Zanella going at it over 5th place, but what an astonishing performance from Eduardo Cavalli. It looked like it was going to be lost again after getting dropped down to 7th place, but some late madness coming out of the latter stages of Sector 1, heading into Sector 2, ultimately throwing this entire race up on its head, and Cavalli grabbing it with both hands and moving himself now into 3rd place, taking full advantage. But Michael Moning currently in front by just under 2 seconds ahead of Gonzalez, who is still occupying 2nd. Still major question marks as to how this ending result is going to pan out, but Michael Moning still with the lead for now. We're in the final 20 seconds, Lewis. What a race this has been.
Absolutely incredible, and an unbelievable recovery drive from Eduardo Cavalli. Got to say again, provisionally, this event, this transfer spot will go the way of Michael Moning. That will be provisional. And it will be dealt with in the stewards' room. I think Eduardo Cavalli's got a great case to potentially be the driver to move through.
Yeah, no question. Obviously, without the stewards' interventions, it will be Michael Moning heading through to the grand final. But everything's a mystery. Regardless, though, coming up on the final lap, up towards the line, Michael Moning will cross the line on track as winner of race 2 here in the Ferrari HP Esports Series here at Laguna Seca, though that will be disputed, I'm sure, in the stewards' room. Gonzalez will finish 2nd, and after a spirited drive from Eduardo Cavalli, he rescues his race. A huge amount of overtaking after getting punted at turn 2. He recovers to P3 in a monumental performance as Lozano takes 4th across the line, Lewis.
I don't think there is any doubt from anyone here, not even us in the commentary booth, and certainly not anyone in chat based on what I'm seeing in here. Eduardo Cavalli, certainly driver of the day. Unreal drive there in that race. Has been absolutely fantastic to have pieced his way through into 3rd position. Of course, we've had some great drives and some great battling. Bit of a chaotic race there, George, but what a drive it was. Still, a dominant performance despite that turn 2 drama then from Michael Moning. The only thing that could potentially save him is that crash did look a bit weird, and if there was a technical thing, I don't know what race control did.
Yeah, I mean, the only angle we saw, it very much looked like a punt. From your view, Isaac, as a driver, what did you make of the incident at turn 2? Do you believe it was a punt, or do you think that something else might have been at play?
It's very difficult to see. It's not clearly to see from one angle, the one that we saw. But what is clear, of course, is that we don't want to see that kind of contact into turn 1 being this decisive for that ticket to Abu Dhabi. That's not good. It's not what we want to see. The only way that can save Moning, I think, in this case, is if Cavalli moved under braking. Again, we cannot see it from that angle, but it did. From the angle that we did see, it did look like a punt. But yeah, hats off to Cavalli for that recovery drive. It's the incredible pace, but also just keeping his head cool. He lost 2 positions again after overtaking those guys, and then the guys fighting in front of him, he had massive pressure from behind. He put his car in all the right spaces. So yeah, incredible drive from him.
Yeah, I mean, that was a never say die attitude. I think off the back of what we just saw there, Isaac. And do you think that drivers like Lucas Verler, for example, who obviously DNF, obviously we'll get to that in a moment. These are the provisional standings, folks, as we're looking at it. This is without any steward's intervention. Michael Moning, well, if it does finish like this, after the stewards take a look at the incidents, he will be going through to the Ferrari HP Esports Series Grand Final at Abu Dhabi with 43 points against his name. He will finish 3 points ahead of Eduardo Cavalli, winner of race 1, ultimately third as well in race 2. But will that incident go the way of Cavalli? If it does, then he'll be making his way to Abu Dhabi should Moning receive a penalty. Victor Gonzalez down in third as well on 28. Maurizio Lozano down in fourth on 27. 7 clear of Jeremiah Zanella in fifth. Santiago Barrios in 6th, Jace Merrick in 7th, then Newhal Spurker on 8 points in 8th place as well. 9th place goes to João Marcos Angeli on 4, Yuri Amarim on 2 points, joined with Randy Marino. We then have Ackerman and Neto, both on 1 point apiece, with Santino Franco Davico in 14th, ahead of Wyatt Gooden, and Lucas Verler, who ended on 0 points. Remember, he was our qualifier from last season, but high drama. And I must say, probably the race of the regional final so far, and I don't think anything is going to really contest that at this moment. But like I said, never say die attitude, Isaac, and probably something Lucas Verler should have taken a leaf out of in our first race.
I think so. Like, we still don't know if he had a technical failure or not, but he parked the car, DNF, and that put him on the last row as well for the second race. And if it wasn't a technical failure, he must be kicking himself, looking at what happened in that second race. But again, I just want to bring back to Cavalli. Hats off, incredible drive, kept his head cool when he needed to. I don't know if he had an engineer in his ear telling him what the point situation was like, but he made the right move and had an incredible recovery drive.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he hasn't disgraced himself, has he, Lewis? I mean, you know, if he doesn't qualify, I mean, it'll be one of the greatest performances I think we've seen in the Ferrari HP Esports Series that doesn't qualify should the stewards' results not go his way.
It's so easy after you've been sent off the opening braking zone of the circuit to then come through a chaotic grid of cars where they're literally going all over the place, left, right and centre. And like I say, completely lose your cool. And then, you know, go for a move that's not on, make contact with someone here, there and everywhere, send someone off the road, left, right. And so that is, honestly, that is so easy to do, to see that red mist. As far as we saw, he kept his eye on the prize and kept his nose clean through the race. Even when things were getting really difficult, Marino was either struggling for speed or slowing down that group in general, and things were getting very, very chaotic. And at certain points, you saw Cavalli back off a little bit, read the big picture, go for the up and under. And when everyone went off at turn 4 and he didn't, I think that was the clear point that he was very much under control despite the chaos around him. I'm sure the heart rate was probably through the roof, but the driving was brilliant.
I mean, at the end of the day, as a driver, Isaac, do you look back at moves like that? Obviously, with Cavalli going through the field like he did, and are those the races you like to watch back, do you think?
Oh, I had a blast just now. I don't know about you guys, but I think we saved the best for last there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sitting on the tip of your teeth, he, of course, had a pace advantage. We knew going into it, but what you said, Lewis, as well, he was so comfortable at the start. He basically had 2 hands on that plane ticket, and then the floor fell out from under him into turn 2, keeping his head calm, making the move and being very clinical with them as well. No unforced contact. So, yeah, again, incredible drive from Cavalli.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the difference maker, Lewis, and obviously he does go through to the grand final, just how many drivers from the other regions and the other platforms that would have watched that will be earmarking, you know, obviously this man as a potential challenger for the overall title.
Well, certainly if he's got that kind of racecraft, he'll certainly be one to keep an eye on. But as we've said time and time again over this competition, over the 6 broadcasts we've done thus far this season, getting through into the grand final is one thing, and winning there is very different. Not only because racing on the multiple platforms, racing with the strongest grid that you're going to come across, but also racing there in person on a rig that maybe you're relatively unfamiliar with. That is always the most difficult part. But you never know how drivers are going to react to that. Some drivers really, really click and resonate with that kind of environment. And you could sit there and go, oh, well, this driver is the one to look at and the one that's going to be fantastic in that final. And then we get there and suddenly they're the ones that don't click with that environment.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that is the big thing, isn't it, Isaac? I mean, you know, going through the online phase, nothing really prepares you for that LAN experience. And of course, especially when we go to Yas Marina Circuit, of course, the same week by and large as the Formula One Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, not to mention the Ferrari branding that's going to be there as well, because this is Ferrari Will Yas Island Abu Dhabi. It doesn't really get much bigger than this, does it?
Yep, diamonds are made under pressure, aren't they? And I think we saw one being made today. And then again, we need to see if it will be the same in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, I would say as well for the drivers that go or get the chance to go to Abu Dhabi and to represent the brand and to fight for that spot for like to get into the team. Good luck, but also enjoy it. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to drive that final. So go out, do your best, and enjoy it as well at the same time.
Yeah, it'll be a true privilege, I'm sure, if, of course, he does make it through. Obviously, still many question marks. Stay tuned to all the socials, by the way, everybody. Our next trip will take us to Assetto Corsa Competizione. Be sure to stay tuned to that calendar as well. It's going to be a fiercely contested platform across all three regions. Of course, we'll look forward to heading to Watkins Glen for those series of races as well. But this concludes Assetto Corsa in itself. And a big thank you for tuning in. We've enjoyed it as much as you have, I'm sure. From me, George Morgan, Lewis McGlade, and Isaac Gillison, we'll see you next time, folks, at the Ferrari HP Esports Series. Grazie mille.